Welcome to the Big Purple Couch, here with two very special guests, Gitta Kulczycki, Vice President of the University, and Emily Rowe, President of the University Students' Council. Thank you both for joining us today.
We're going to get right into it. We've obviously want to talk about the bus strike with you guys. So you guys have been in talks, I believe, of lots of meetings, it sounds like, for the past few weeks. Briefly, if you guys can kind of tell us what's been considered to kind of deal with the issue, and has anything been finalized? Is, I think, what's on a lot of students' minds.
So maybe I'll start and Emily can jump in. For sure, our first and highest wish is that they settle and that there's no strike. So we've certainly been doing everything we can, although we don't have a direct role in it, to kind of encourage that to be the case. However, that said, we need to obviously do planning. So we've looked at a whole host of options around how can we get students to campus and home safely. And let's just say, you know, what's our priority? One of the things is, look, students are important, your studies are important, you've worked really hard to get here, you're working hard this academic year, we got to make sure we don't interrupt that. And we also are looking at what can we do to keep students safe. And so in the context of all of that, you know, as we come together as a community, probably the biggest strategy we're going to have is around sharing rides. So if we come to the first strategy, if you're close enough to walk, and maybe we need to stretch that outside of what the norm is of walking, then obviously that's your most reliable means, with a friend, staying in lit areas when it's dark, so all those safety precautions. Biking, so we have lots of capacity, and maybe, Emily, do you want to jump in here?
Yeah, we're working on creating some sort of bike check so that students feel comfortable leaving their bikes on campus, that the fear of them getting stolen or ruined won't be there, so that students feel comfortable biking onto campus.
And then we're looking at the shuttle service that we've got on campus. So you'll see the bus that takes students to Brescia and to Kings and back and around. We are going to be maximizing the capacity of that. We can't take it off campus, but we're free to maximize its use on campus. So we're going to get from About Town every bit of capacity they have, so that we can move people around once they can get to the periphery of campus. We'll also be increasing the number of bus stops where they stop and pick up people, so we're still figuring that out. I'll give you one aspect of the Western Share a Ride program, and then I'm going to let Emily chime in with her wonderful idea from the Students' Council. We are in the process of developing a portal, so a special site where it's only Western people that can get in, that can say, I live in the North End and I'm going there at this time or that time. You know, me getting on and saying, I'm coming into work for whatever time, or I'm leaving at whatever time. I'm going up into this area, so that we can get sort of that call out, so that whoever's looking at it can say, oh yeah, I need a ride and I'm going back, you know, we're in your area about the same time. So we see that as being a tool we can use as well. We've pulled all the programmers we have to be able to get that done very, very quickly. And recognizing that, you know, obviously we know very well that Monday is the day when London Transit has said they're pulling their services. So, Emily.
And as far as moving ahead, what we're really urging is the Western community to come together. So something that we're working on creating along with this Safe Drive to School program are some sort of purple identification, and saying that I'm a driver and I am a passenger and I need a ride. So let's say, for example, it's in the form of a flag type thing. You can put it on your car as you're driving to school, and then someone may have it, the same type of like bag tag on their backpack. And so if they're relatively far away from campus and say they weren't able to get a drive downtown, but they're walking and that car sees that purple tag on their bag, flag and says, okay, well, I still have a seat in my car, they can pull over and say, you're allowed in. Now, obviously, the number one issue here is safety, making sure that these people are part of the Western community, are willing to do this in a safe manner. And so those details are being finalized today and tomorrow. But I think what's most important that students need to understand is that we have tried every option.
I want you to talk about that, because
Yeah.
a lot of students don't know about that, and we want them to know that you guys have tried a lot of options. I mean, students are upset, and they have reason to be, but not necessarily with the university or the USC. This is an issue that we've basically been landed. And so
Yeah.
talk about what the
Yeah.
University Students' Council has looked at doing.
Go ahead.
Well, as a student living off campus, it's obviously a concern for me as well as all of the staff and professors that need to get onto campus.
Right.
And so it's obviously a huge concern. And so we have been working for weeks now, looking at every possible option, looking at getting buses, looking at transporting larger groups of students. But the capacity of the LTC bringing students on and off campus is just, it's unbelievable. And there's so many little things to get around that it's not looking like a feasible option. So, but it is important to know that we have tried everything. And I want students to know that, and I guarantee that.
Now, you guys, you've both mentioned a lot of ideas, right? And yes, it is Monday. Monday's the day. Will things be in place? Do you think these ideas will actually be able to be in place for Monday? Is it realistic?
Well, some of those things, yes, they'll be in place for Monday. So for example, some means or ways of saying, I'm from Western, I'm going to work, I drive a car, and I'm prepared to take. So some means or ways of that will be there. The increase in the shuttle service using About Town, that will be there.
Okay.
We may, the portal, we're hopeful will be there. Okay, so I think the bike thing, I think that's going to be there. So, and we'll refine it as we see what's, how it progresses. But yes, there'll be quite a number of things that will be in place, and then there'll be things that we just fine tune and get better at.
Right.
And right now what we're trying to do is get the word out so that students know and are aware that Monday morning when they wake up, there may not be a bus there picking them up. So what we're saying is urging them to talk to people in their classes, friends, companions, staff members, anyone that they can get a ride with or walk to campus. And then on Monday, when there's some sort of institutionalized portal, that can be used by students.
Okay.
That's great. And now, so I lots of ideas I hadn't heard of, so that's great. Like, this is good. I love the idea of, having people be able to identify that, I'm going to Western. Let's talk about driving, though. So obviously, there's going to be probably a big increase of people driving. What about parking lots on campus? Are there any accommodations being made for that?
There's capacity on several of our lots on the periphery. I'm also exploring with the hospital on campus, but I don't know that part yet. Whether they've got some capacity that they can loan to us. In the meantime, we still do have several hundred spots available on our periphery. One of the ideas we're still looking at that we'll talk some more about between today and tomorrow is what can we do in our parking lots as a direct incentive on carpooling. So to say, you're bringing a car, but what can we do to not only say you're bringing a car, but you're bringing 3 friends, with you. So that's one of the things we're looking at.
Okay, I know even just from being in class the last couple of weeks, you notice that some students are not there. Before, it was because of the H1N1 going around. Now we've got this, okay? So my question to you mostly is, in terms of academic accommodation, are there going to be any arrangements made for that?
Well, so I think in a blanket sense, not. So it'll be on what I know our vice provost has been in discussions with all the associate deans, and I know that I'm meeting with some or all of them tomorrow afternoon. And so what we're looking at is what are the little things they can do. I mean, they're obviously concerned. I mean, our faculty too want to see students be successful, right? So what are the things that we can do short of giving a blanket accommodation to try and accommodate or recognize those circumstances of saying transportation is going to be a little bit more difficult. And so I think that's probably the best I can say at this point.
Sure.
We've talked about some ideas. We need to be able to, further that discussion.
Well, I can say on behalf of students that we appreciate the work that both the USC and the university is doing to help everyone. So thank you to both of you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having us.